The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Week. Asian shares trade mostly higher today, with investors on edge over the possibility of a U.S. government shutdown. Hong Kong's Hang Seng and South Korea's Kospi edge lower, while the rest of the region posts gains. In the currency market, the U.S. dollar slips against the Japanese yen and the Hong Kong dollar, but gains ground against most other Asian currencies. The Australian dollar, meanwhile, strengthens against the greenback. In commodities, gold prices rise while oil pulls back. In cryptocurrencies, both Bitcoin and Ethereum trade lower. The Asian Development Bank keeps its growth forecast for the Philippines steady this year, but slightly lowers its outlook for 2026, citing global uncertainty. Despite the downgrade, the ADB says the Philippines remains a bright spot, projected to be the second fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia until 2026. In its latest outlook, the lender maintains its 2025 growth forecast at 5.6%, unchanged from July. For 2026, the projection is trimmed to 5.7% from the earlier 5.8% estimate. That's still within the government's 5.5 to 6.5% target for this year, though below the 6 to 7% goal set for 2026. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority, or PEZA, hits more than 60% of its annual target after approving 48.87 billion pesos in investment pledges this September. The approvals cover 36 projects expected to generate more than 10,000 jobs and around $1.1 billion in exports. PEZA Director General Tereso Panga says these approvals highlight sustained investor confidence in the Philippines. The Department of Economy, Planning and Development, or DepDev, commits to strengthening monitoring and evaluation to ensure policies and programs improve Filipino lives. Speaking at the 12th M&E Network Forum, DepDev Secretary Arsenio Balisacan says progress is measured not just by growth figures, but by how government actions ease the burdens of ordinary Filipinos. The forum underscores the importance of integrating M&E into planning, budgeting, and implementation across government. Balisacan adds the recent passage of the Economy, Planning and Development Act strengthens the DepDev's mandate for evidence-based policy making. Former House Speaker Martin Romualdez and former lawmaker Zaldi Ko will be invited to the next Senate hearing on the flood control scandal. Hannah T joins us live for the details. Hannah, go ahead.
Mai, as the flood control probe deepens, the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee moves to summon Zaldi Ko and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez over alleged insertions and kickbacks. Committee Chair and Senate President Pro Tempore Panfilo Lacson confirmed that formal invitations will be sent to both officials. Former Ako Bicol Party List Representative Zaldi Ko is currently out of the country. If he fails to appear, the committee said a subpoena and a show cause order will be issued. Should his explanation be unsatisfactory, he could be cited for contempt and face an arrest warrant. Ko was drawn into the investigation after documents linked him to billions in budget insertions and alleged kickbacks from flood control projects. For Romualdez, Lacson said his invitation will be coordinated through House Speaker Boji D in line with interparliamentary courtesy. Romualdez has also been accused of receiving kickbacks and was publicly called out by Senator Cheese Escudero, who claimed he was behind an alleged script to discredit senators linked to the scandal. Lacson clarified that the probe will continue despite the involvement of high-profile legislators. He said the committee must examine any evidence uncovered to avoid suspicions of a cover-up. Meanwhile, Senator Bato de la Rosa said cause resignation from the House is not enough. He urged the former lawmaker to return to the country and face the allegations, warning that flight could be seen as guilt. Mai?
Hannah, when is the next hearing, and was it ever discussed how they are going to compel Congressman or former Congressman Zaldico to come home and face the music?
On the schedule of the next Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing, there's no official date yet, but Lacson said that the investigation cannot be stopped as long as questions of accountability remain. And on the part of the invitation on Zaldico, the only thing that Lacson disclosed ay ipapadala daw nila itong pag-summon nga sa kanya through his house address. At pag hindi pa rin siya nag-show up o sumipot doon sa susunod na pagdinig, yun na yung pag-issue ng subpoena at show cause order kung bakit hindi dapat siya hainan ng warrant of arrest. Balik sa'yo, Mai.
Right. Hannah, was it discussed as well on where Zaldico is at this moment? Do they have any idea where he is?
Actually, Mai, that's the same question we want to ask them, no? Pero currently, hindi ma-disclose at wala pang dinidisclose ang Senate Blue Ribbon Committee tungkol doon sa whereabouts nito ngang si Zaldico. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you for that report. Hannah T. live from the Senate. A Dutch flag cargo ship sustains heavy damage after it was hit by an explosive device in the Gulf of Aden. Rescuers have transferred the 19 crew members of the Maynard Ngu to other vessels. 2 crew members were injured. The crew includes Russian, Ukrainian, Filipino, and Sri Lankan nationals. It's still not clear who is behind the incident, but Houthi rebels previously attacked ships passing through the area in solidarity with Palestinians suffering Israel's attacks in Gaza. Acting Transportation Secretary Giovanni Lopez thanks the homeowners of Corinthian Gardens for supporting the Metro Manila subway project. Within Corinthian Gardens, the subway alignment covers 500 meters and affects 33 properties. As of September 30, the DOTr has issued 32 compensation offers totaling 820.56 million pesos. 20 homeowners have accepted offers worth 461 million pesos, while negotiations continue with the remaining owners. Drilling work along the Corinthian Gardens alignment is set to begin in January 2026. President Bongbong Marcos has directed the Transportation Department to speed up flagship infrastructure projects to provide faster, more convenient public transport options. Right-of-way acquisition for the project is currently at 75%, with full completion targeted by March 2026. Maynard Ngu, the alleged bagman and business partner of Senator Francis Escudero, has resigned as independent director of Altus Property Ventures Inc, citing personal reasons. But he is still the special envoy to China for trade and investment. The palace, for its part, has no plans for now to let him go despite the pressure over his alleged role in the flood control scandal. Public Works, or former Public Works Under Secretary Roberto Bernardo, told senators he met Ngu and Senator Escudero at Cork Wine Bar to discuss an alleged 160 million peso kickback for the lawmaker, but Escudero has denied this. We're taking a short break. More stories are coming up next. You're watching Business Brief. You're back on Business Brief. Security Bank names Victor Lee Mengtek as next president and chief executive officer. The bank says he will take over in early January 2026, pending completion of his work permit, visa, and other regulatory requirements. He succeeds Sanjeev Vora, who will lead the bank until then before transitioning to senior advisor to the board. Victor Lee, a Singaporean banker, brings over 30 years of leadership experience across Asia, having most recently served as CEO of CIMB Singapore and CEO of Growth Markets for CIMB Bank Berhad. Ayala Corporation announces the purchase of 2 million common shares under its share buyback program. The transactions approved by the board on December 5, 2019, December 10, 2021, and September 18, 2025 involve 1 million shares bought at 490 pesos each and another 1 million shares at 482 pesos each today. After the purchase, Ayala Corporation has 622.04 million outstanding common shares, with treasury shares rising to 14.17 million. The Asian Development Bank releases its September report and projects slower growth for the rest of Asia. Paulo Barcelon is on the line for the highlights. Hi, Paulo, what can you tell us?
Mai, developing Asia's growth forecast has lowered to 4.8% in 2025 and 4.5% in 2026, down 0.1 and 0.2 percentage points from its April outlook. ADB principal economist John Barron says the main risk is due to tariff hikes and trade uncertainty. Barron also says developing countries in Asia, which includes the Philippines, Indonesia, China, Vietnam, and India, are feeling the pinch of Trump tariffs, with China facing the steepest rate at 45%. Barron adds these moves have reshaped trade flows, with Asian export growth accelerating as U.S. importers rushed to front-load shipments before higher duties took effect. High-tech and AI-related exports have led the surge, though China's shipments to the U.S. remain weak. The ADB also projects that economic growth across developing Asia accelerated to 5.4% in the first half of 2025, up from 4.9% late last year, powered by net exports and tech demand. However, investment in the region has weakened, dragged down by China's struggling property sector. Inflation across most of the region has fallen below pre-pandemic levels, creating room for further rate cuts. Financial markets have remained resilient, buoyed by optimism over trade talks and expectations of Fed easing. Between July and September, portfolio inflows reached nearly $37 billion, though India saw equity outflows. Debt levels in Asia have improved overall, but vulnerabilities remain in high-debt economies such as Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Now, looking ahead, global growth forecasts for 2025 to 2026 have been revised downward. The U.S. growth is projected at 1.7% this year, the Euro area at 1.2%, and Japan at just over 1%. The ADB also projects oil prices to keep sliding, averaging $67 per barrel in 2025, and that rice prices worldwide are expected to stabilize following favorable weather and record harvests in India, which is the world's largest rice exporter.
Thank you for that report, Paulo Barcelon. Eastern Samar defies expectations, posting the fastest economic growth in the country for 2024. Data from the latest provincial product accounts released by the Philippine Statistics Authority show the province growing 10.2%. Eastern Samar outpaces all 82 provinces and 33 highly urbanized cities nationwide, well above the national average of 5.7%. The PSA notes that 7 of the top 10 fastest growing local economies in 2024 are provinces, while 3 are highly urbanized cities, highlighting the rising contribution of regional economies to national growth. We're taking another breather, a look at how Philippine shares did today when we return. Stay tuned. A global coalition of 12 countries, including Saudi Arabia, France, Japan, and the UK, has been formed to support the Palestinian Authority amid a deepening financial crisis. On BNC's Business 360, Palestine ambassador to the Philippines, Munir Anastas, said Israel has withheld over $1 billion in tax revenues for more than 3 years, leaving the Palestinian government unable to pay employee salaries. Anastas also confirmed commitments from Gulf states to fund the $54 billion reconstruction of Gaza, where infrastructure, hospitals, and schools have been decimated. He added that the Palestinian government welcomes the Trump-backed ceasefire plan, calling it a crucial first step to halt starvation and allow humanitarian aid under UN supervision.
These are the most urgent things that we are looking for. Then third positive thing he mentioned, as I said before, he said he wouldn't allow the annexation of the West Bank, and this is very important for us, and otherwise it will forbid the existence of the Palestinian state. So these are very important and positive things included in the Trump plan.
All these as he warned that Gaza's economy is non-existent and reconstruction will take time. U.S. President Donald Trump orders new tariffs on wood and wooden products, including lumber, kitchen cabinets, and furniture, aimed at supporting U.S. industries and national security. The proclamation sets a 10% tariff on softwood lumber and timber, and 25% on kitchen cabinets, vanities, and upholstered wooden furniture, effective October 14. On January 1, tariffs will rise to 50% on cabinets and 30% on upholstered furniture. Trump says the tariffs will strengthen supply chains, create jobs, and boost domestic capacity for wood products, while also providing economic benefits through increased exports. The move comes after the White House ordered a Commerce Department investigation into the national security risks of imported lumber, mostly from Canada. Trump argues the U.S. has sufficient timber resources to meet domestic demand without relying on foreign supplies. South Korea's booming used car exports is helping mitigate the impact of U.S. tariffs on new car sales. U.S.-bound auto shipments have declined for 6 straight months since President Donald Trump announced 25% tariffs. South Korea exported $5.5 billion worth of cars in August, up 9% year-on-year, and a monthly record that's according to the Trade Ministry. Meanwhile, used car exports jumped 35% to $711.5 million the same month. Demand from Russia and trade partners like Kyrgyzstan has surged since the war in Ukraine. Video sharing firm YouTube agrees to pay $24.5 million to settle a lawsuit filed by U.S. President Donald Trump. The case stems from his suspension on social media platforms after the January 6, 2021 insurrection. This makes Alphabet-owned YouTube the last of the 3 big tech companies sued by Trump to reach a settlement after Meta and X, formerly Twitter. Of the total, $22 million will go to the nonprofit Trust for the National Mall to preserve the landmark and help fund the White House State Ballroom. Another $2.5 million covers settlements with other plaintiffs. Philippine shares fall for the 7th straight session. The PSEI dropped 0.7%, making it the worst performer in Asia. Majority of the sectoral indices closed lower, with property falling the most at over 2%. Decliners outnumber advancers 129 to 79. Majority of the day's most active stocks are in the red, with RL Commercial Wheat falling the most at almost 4%. On currencies, the peso trades at 58.06 against the US dollar, up from the previous close of 58.15. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business. Only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. I'll see you then.